Well, aloha. We are on Oahu, and I have a special guest here today. What's been kind of fun over the last couple episodes, we've really been talking about the importance of the brain and the different things that we can do to be able to facilitate the brain, helping it out. If you go back on a couple of the episodes, we've even talked about games, your brain on games, and then we talked about your brain on sleep. I'm totally thrilled about this episode because this is one that's near and dear to my heart. But this is a woman that has really done much to inspire us to be able to really look at our nutrition, the way we eat, and the things that we can do to really bring health, not only to our body, but to our brain. And where we really are focusing on the brain right now, there could be no better time than for me to be in Hawaii on a retreat with a private chef that has so much information for us, but more importantly, her expertise is awe-inspiring. This is Indigo Mathewson. She has the Indie Kitchen, and give them your website right now.
It's Indie Cook Club, so INDYYCOOK cookclub.com.
Definitely go check this out, because how I met Indigo was on a retreat, and I think this is the third one I've been on now. We're a little bit addicted by having this level of expertise and food. Oh my goodness. So she comes to us as a private chef, but she has years and years of experience. But this isn't just the multiple restaurants where she got her experience or the education, etc. She continues to learn and source, and not only are we eating nutritional foods, but she's educating us too on our body, how it affects us, how it even affects our emotions, etc. So I'm excited for you to be treated, and it's an honor to have Indy on the show today. And so she's going to give us a lot of information on what we need to know about bringing nutrition to the brain. So fill us in a little bit also on your background so that they understand that there's such a breadth of experience that you have.
Yeah, so I have over 10 years of experience cooking professionally, but I did go to school for nutrition. I got an undergrad degree in nutrition and culinary from Bastyr University. And I kind of melded that together with my experience working in restaurants, catering companies, farmers markets, like pretty much all of like the food industry facets. So I melded those together, created my business, and basically what inspires me is the connection that food brings with people, and the mindfulness, and of course the nutrition and the whole experience of it.
Well, and what I will add too is your presentation is above and beyond.
Thank you.
There's a beauty and an art to how she presents the food. And then when you taste it, it's healthy, nutritious food that looks good. It really is an experience, is how I would say.
Thank you.
So,
yeah, I love that.
well, we wanted to talk a little bit about, is there a connection between the gut and the brain?
Absolutely. A lot of people refer to the gut as our second brain. And, there's so many different things you can do to help your gut, but ultimately we're absorbing all of our nutrients through the gut. And so I would highly suggest like getting those fermented foods in, like sauerkraut, kimchi, even just apple cider vinegar, yogurt, anything you can do. A little bit of fermented foods every day is awesome. Also, fiber is very important for everyone. It works like a broom through our colon. So like just sweeping out all of that gunk that from just like every day, if we go and eat a little bit of processed foods, it's okay. But you just want to balance that out with a lot of fiber, fermented foods, and nutrient dense foods as well to sweep out all that gunk.
So why is the gut so critical? Why does that affect the brain so much?
Well, we have so many nerve endings in there, and our nerve endings like go through all of our vital organs, our heart, our liver, everything, our lungs, and goes up to our brain. So we need that to absorb all of those nutrients to get to our vital organs so we can function properly.
I've heard the saying, if your gut ain't happy, your brain ain't happy.
Yep, totally.
So it's interesting that it all starts in the gut.
Yes.
And really the absorption, etc., is all gut related.
Mm-hmm.
So we really do need to pay a better attention to the health and the vitality of our gut. You had talked about getting fiber. What are some ways that we can bring fiber into our diet?
I always push just diversity in your diet. If you can just get any type of veggies that you can get in, whether it's frozen vegetables, fresh vegetables, even canned, any type of vegetables. If you're just getting it in, that's great. And then, of course, I think of whole grains and things like flax and chia, great seeds like that. They have a lot of fiber because they have that husk on the outside of them that just goes right through us and pulls all that gunk out. So things like oats, whole wheat, barley, even gluten-free grains, brown rice, sorghum are great. I always suggest psyllium husk. We were kind of talking about that.
Yeah, tell them
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah,
Like
so
that.
a lot of people, especially like when we get older, you'll see people buying from the stores like Metamucil and whatnot. That's just psyllium husk. And I'm not sure exactly what plant that comes from, but it's just pure fiber. It's the bran from the plant itself. And that is just a great way to sweep all that out. It's just proven. We've always been using it for years. That psyllium husk.
That's interesting. I didn't even think I had to do a little sweep of the intestine.
Yes. Yeah, we got to clean our house, got to clean ourselves.
But yet I've noticed that when you make things that you do this beautiful balance between the nutrition and the fiber and the things. I mean, there are a lot of things that you do that we don't actually recognize. And maybe you'll tell us a little bit about the theory behind when you create dishes. And I think all your clients are different. By the way, I'm going to kind of brag on her a little bit. This is a woman that is requested by Hollywood stars, movie stars, international people to come on their yachts and travel with them. And this is not just someone who knows how to cook. This is someone incredibly intentional and sought after. But there's still room for you if you're wanting an amazing chef. And you'll see why she's so requested. But so what is your thought process? I know for us, we are so excited that you will come and that we can eat from your table because of the healthiness and the nutrition. We're all about the vibrancy of the food. In fact, tell them what you develop for us. What do you do for us every day? What theme do you have for us running?
Yes. So we've developed a theme over the past 3 retreats that we've done together, and we love doing chakra themed menus. It's just a really great mindfulness practice. And mindfulness is so important, just not in everyday life, but while you're eating as well. So you can properly digest everything and absorb all those nutrients. So every day we have a theme. The first day we start with the root chakra, and then we work all the way up to the crown chakra. And today we're focused on the heart. And yesterday we did the solar plexus. Like for example, because the solar plexus is attributed to the color yellow. So I did some golden milk muffins, and of course with turmeric, to absorb it properly, you want to get a little bit of black pepper and a fat. However, I think that black pepper doesn't go well in muffins.
Gratefully you didn't put that.
Yes. So on the side, I made just like a veggie scramble with some eggs and some yellow bell peppers, kale, and then I put black pepper in that. So overall, I think while I'm creating a dish or even just a meal for someone, to have little elements in there that complement each other so we can properly absorb all those nutrients.
That's what I thought was so fascinating, because you're looking at how can we assimilate the nutrition that you're preparing. So I thought that was brilliant that you had thought about a different one, had the black pepper in it, and then we had a little bit of the sweetness of the muffin too that had the turmeric. It is really fascinating. There's a lot of science that goes into what you're doing, and art and nutrition also. So it's been kind of fun. So yeah, every day she's been doing a different chakra for us, and then she uses fruits and vegetables and foods that are within that color. Now it's not monochromatic because she adds a lot of the rainbow in there, but the main pieces are the color for that day. And it's fun. At the end of our retreats, I feel like our chakras have been treated to an epicurious treat. You do feel balanced. You feel very different when you eat differently. You feel differently.
Exactly. And I think it's so important to just have fun with your food. You know, like a lot of us are just so busy in our day-to-day lives, and it's hard to just get a meal in. Sometimes we scarf down a protein bar in between meetings, but if you can and if you have the time, themes are so fun. I honestly do it for myself.
Do you really?
Number one, yeah, because I love like researching like a certain culture and all of their flavors, or going with a theme like the chakra and whatnot and learning about that, because there's so much to talk about, not just the food, but what its theme is.
Yeah, it's been amazing. these last 3 retreats. In fact, one of this retreat, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to come, and I was like, I'm going to miss the food. I have to be there because it does make a difference when you have gone a certain amount of time eating those foods that are clean.
Yeah.
You come back incentivized to be able to make some big changes in your life using like substances that abuse the child. They're good for us anyway, but this is just lacking iron.
Yeah, and actually using substances while you're pregnant can provoke deficiencies like this. So it can be almost like a cascade effect.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's so vital just in those early stages to get like proper nutrients.
And we know that the nutrition or science is now proving that nutrition of the mother is passed on to the DNA of the fetus. Even their emotions now, they have passed out that say the emotions that a mother feels is actually coded in the DNA strand of the child.
And even like
generations.
Yeah.
So really our mental health and our physical health is so critical.
Some honorable mentions for nutrients that I want to touch on. Curcumin, we were talking a little bit about turmeric. That is the constituent in turmeric. It's a major anti-inflammatory promoter in our bodies, and overall it just helps with circulation. So getting a lot of blood flow to the brain. You don't want any inflammation in your brain, because that is not good. You just want to have a properly circulating nutrients in your body. Omega-3 fatty acids are awesome. They just basically lubricate our cells, our joints, help with circulation as well. And you'll hear me talking about circulation a lot, but it's really just getting all those nutrients and the blood flow to the brain. And then of course we kind of talked about eating a colorful diet. That's number one right there. If you can get a diverse diet, like just trying different vegetables every day or multiple vegetables in different meals, or even different whole grains, just switching it up is awesome, because you can pull nutrients from all these different sources, and then you have more there's more chance that you can absorb these nutrients this way, rather than just focusing on one food every day. Your body gets kind of used to it in that sense.
Yeah, I have a good friend who has always taught her children eat the rainbow.
Yes.
And that her plates are very colorful. And she uses a lot of the spices that you were talking about. And now that I understand that they have more of an medicinal purpose, not only the taste, but medicinal. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So for those of you who don't know what golden milk is, I was introduced maybe about 8 years ago to it. Such a treat and such a delight. And of course, we had golden milk the other day.
Yes.
So do you want to tell them how they could make golden milk so they could get some of that turmeric, that good stuff in?
Absolutely. So you want to pick any sort of milk that you normally use. You can use regular cow's milk if that's what you have. I always go for coconut milk just because it has that healthy fat in there. You can also do almond milk or whatever you have on hand or whatever you like. And then if you have turmeric powder, just a little pinch of that. Here in Hawaii, we actually grow turmeric. So I use fresh turmeric and blend it up all together. Then I also put ginger. Turmeric and ginger both have a really great effect on anti-inflammatory properties, and then also help with digestion as well. So it's that turmeric, ginger, a little bit of cinnamon, black pepper, and then whatever sweetener of choice. I always use honey or coconut sugar.
And it's delicious. And it's served warm.
Yes,
right?
Yeah. It's very calming. This is a great evening drink, like right before you go to sleep. I've heard people say they have really great dreams when they drink this.
No, it is a delight, and it is like a treat. And we won't maybe go into the recipe, but she does a hot chocolate for us that super healthy too. And we're clamoring for that all the time. It's you're gonna have to hire her to find out that secret. But what are some invitations that you could give to the listening audience here on if we're stepping into leveling up our nutrition and really concentrating on giving our brain what it needs? What's maybe an invitation you can have them do over the next 2 weeks? And we've probably maybe talked about it, but I think it's good now to wind down with, okay, this is what you can do now.
Totally. If you in your town have a farmer's market, I'd really suggest going to check it out. A lot of farms will do something called a CSA box or a bag, and you pay weekly. It's usually around $30 or so, and you get a bag of just random vegetables. Sounds a little intimidating to someone who doesn't normally cook, but I think it's a great way to like just educate yourself on what's out there, what's growing in your town, and just to try something new. That's what I always suggest for people. And it also kind of gives you the obligation because sometimes they're like a membership.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, I gotta go pick up that CSA box, but then you're gonna eat great for that week. That's just something very simple. If you're a busy person and you don't have time for something like this, I always just tell people to buy like just some frozen vegetables, like in your freezer section in your store. If you can get like a frozen veggie blend, throw that into whatever you're making. If you're making just like heating up some marinara with like some spaghetti or something, throw some of those vegetables in there. Just throw them in wherever you can. Some like an egg scramble in the morning if that's what you're making. Sometimes the things that are sitting on like the produce shelves in our stores, they're not as fresh as we think they are. Especially here in Hawaii, we get a lot of things shipped. But if you're in somewhere that doesn't have a lot of farmland around you, sometimes it could take days for things to get to you. And a lot of these nutrients I touched on, especially the B vitamins, especially folate, they actually diminish over time.
Mm.
And so the frozen vegetables that you may just be like, ew, that's kind of gross. I don't like frozen peas. But a lot of these are frozen at peak ripeness and freshness. So they actually preserve all of those vitamins in there. And that's just a really simple way to get these vitamins that we're talking about.
And I think that's a great idea to educate yourself, try something different. I know at the grocery store near me, they would bring all the elementary and junior high kids through for like a little field trip.
Oh, that's
And then
cute.
they'd show them these different vegetables and say, do you know what this is? Do you know what this is? Do you know what this is? And they said they were just shocked that most of these kids had no idea what like a rutabaga was, or
Yeah.
some of the, or even an avocado,
Yeah.
if they haven't had a chance to eat those, or a date. Who doesn't love dates? I mean, once
So
you have,
good.
to me, that's nature's caramel. You know?
Yes.
So if you were to get one of these boxes or go to the and just pick something you don't know what it is. In fact, we had a beautiful fruit the other day. It's we call it the eyeball fruit. What's the name of it?
Rambutan.
Rambutan.
Yeah, they grow in tropical regions. Sometimes you can see them in your stores, whatever state you're in. I've seen them in Washington. And they're kind of like lychee or lychee. Some people call them that. They're very similar. I think they're the same family. But if you see some like a different fruit or something you're not normally used to, like maybe just buy one and just try it out. It doesn't hurt.
Yeah, it was absolutely delicious. Of course, it looked like a little sea urchin, then cut open, it looked like an eyeball.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
a
when we
funky fruit.
tasted it, it was absolutely delicious. And so that's been kind of fun to try some new things that you've exposed us to.
Thank you. I love that.
So what other invitations do we have? Do we have any other invitations for them?
Yes. This one sounds very simple, but eat your food with a loved one, share a meal with someone. One thing that I love so much about food is not just like how it looks, how it tastes, but it's the connection that it brings to people. And we were talking a little bit about mindfulness while eating, but all these like feel good feelings you get when you're sharing a meal with a loved one, it helps us with digesting properly and absorbing nutrients because we're in a calm state. So if you can just, even if it's just with a friend or like you force your kid to eat with you, there's so many benefits to that. And I would definitely suggest doing that.
Well, and we even talked about, all these different cultures that pray over their food, etc. I have
Yes.
a friend that makes amazing food and she chants over the food as she prepares it. And so we know when we eat her food, it's going to be blessed and nutritious only because of the intention that she's put into it. And I think you put a lot of intention into our food.
Absolutely. I always tell people I make intentional food. And even just like, sometimes we're so busy and we have a lot going on during the day. And, when we finally sit down for a meal, our brain is still going about all those things we have to do or things we have to do the next day or things that we're anticipating. So if you can just remove yourself and take a moment. In Japanese culture, they say itadakimasu, which is just acknowledging the food right before you eat and just give thanks and sit there and chew your food, turn the TV off, put your phone away, and just sit there and actually be with the food.
And when you say mindful, I had someone say to me, we were actually eating a lunch. I brought my food and she brought her food, and we were eating. She said, just slow down for a second. And she said, put that bite in your mouth and then just savor what that tastes like and be mindful and present with the taste and what you're eating and how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
It took us a lot longer to eat my little snack that I brought, but I had such an appreciation for that food that I would not have had if I had just eaten it. I do the grab and run and just kind of eat. And sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I ate that whole bag and I'm not even aware that I did it. Being more mindful and in the present. And like you said, it's the camaraderie of eating together.
Yes.
And of course, all of us are like, oh my gosh, this is so good. We're all talking about the food. And anyway, it just brings up lots of beautiful conversations and healthiness.
Yeah.
So I really want to thank Indigo for taking this time, and so grateful that I get to be a part of some of the retreats where she's our private chef. Of course, you can go to her website. It's Indy, INDYY Cook Club, indycookclub.com. And oh my gosh, you've got to go on her Instagram. She does such a good job on those. They're not only inspiring, beautiful, but funny too. She's got some funny ones in there. I laughed pretty hard the other day. But this is a very talented, intentional woman that is bringing a lot of health and nutrition, a lot of enjoyment to a lot of people. You would be very honored to have her as your private chef.
Oh, thank you.
So if you are looking for that, make sure that you contact her through her website. She cooks with intention. Obviously, not only is it the nutritional aspect, we've enjoyed the art of it, the camaraderie of it, and you can see what kind of a spirit she is.
Oh.
She's just a bright spirit. We have loved having her with us. There is so much that we can do to be able to feed our brain. And these types of processed foods and artificial foods and toxic things, we just need to think about, what are we putting in our mouth? And what is it doing to our body, to our guts specifically, and to our brain? You know, the brain fog and the inability to be clear and have clarity has a lot to do with our problem solving skills. And really, we need to have our wits about us. But more importantly, we need to have our health about us too. And not only our physical health, but our mental health. And one of the ways that we can do that is to eat nutritionally and intentionally. So I hope this motivated you to go, we're going to try something different. Let's go to the grocery store, find some different things. Let's find some friends. Let's try some things. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. I have learned a lot from her. I'm going to go home inspired to try better, to try some new things. And aloha from Hawaii. And as always, we are creators and we create the life that we want. So let's go out there and create amazingness. So thanks, you guys. Tally ho, and we'll see you next week.
Aloha.